Good morning, this is totally random.
Featuring Franz Maruna and Andrew Embler.
Today, which is in March.
The 9th?
Sure.
The 9th.
Yeah. I'll buy that. And this is your weekly news and stuff show about concrete5. Stuff happens.
We are prepared.
Full of
Very
stuff.
Prepared.
Reasonably light news week. Greg is considering opening a bikini brew here at the office, so that's going to be a mixed experience.
Yeah.
We did hear,
warmer, so
in all seriousness, that it is getting warmer out. That's nice. Bitnami now has concrete5 ready to go in one of their downloadable package installers. So if you're not familiar with that, it's kind of like WAMP or MAMP, a single executable file you can download that'll set up your entire web server, middleware layer, yada yada. But with Bitnami, it actually also includes concrete5. You get, they of course have ones for other well-known middleware-based systems as well. But yeah, this is kind of a nice way if you're doing local development and you don't want to even tinker with installing concrete5 on a MAMP or WAMP setup. This will do it all for you.
Yeah, it's even got the concrete5 branded installer and everything.
Pretty cool.
On your OS of choice. Tested it on OS 10 yesterday. Works very well. No need to know how to configure a MySQL server, Apache, anything like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that's launched or in the midst of launching early next week. I think.
Yeah,
Sounded
maybe.
like
Yeah, I'm not
very
sure.
soon on the
You
way.
can definitely get to the installer page if you have the link. I'm not totally clear on
They're
whether
still
they've updated their site.
Updating their index or something. But that's great. It's good to be in there, and that's actually really important and huge for us. It's surprising how many folks find concrete5 through an installer or like a Windows Web Gallery, something like that. Those different distribution systems are very vital. So if there's one that you know of that we are not in, you should certainly let us know and let them know, and we'll keep poking at them until they add us, and that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's basically the news this week. I don't think, did we have something? Oh, we wanted to talk about the Flickr picture group.
Some photos.
We could probably start the Karma stuff and then talk about the Flickr picture group if you want, Matt. Want to open the Karma machine?
Yeah, sure.
Open the Karma machine.
Do that.
And the weekly Karma winners, come on down.
Sweet. So, did we get any Karma pictures this week?
We did not. Nothing came through as far as I know. Maybe I missed one, but
Disappointing.
yeah, if I missed it. We'll get to it next week.
Disappointing. Well, that being said, here's who won this week. I can't read that.
Alajad won a copy of the Message of the Day add-on.
For helping people? Sweet.
Peter Vernalia won a copy of the Flash Gallery for promoting.
Thanks for
Like
promoting.
40 flash guys.
Galleries.
And Brian Lewis won a copy of the Contact Directory for doing work.
Sweet. Thanks, Brian. That is good stuff. Thank you, as always, for contributing in all the different ways that help so much. Very important. The other thing we wanted to point out was there is a Flickr group that Waggy started out of the UK for kind of like all concrete5 related sticker pictures. And it looks like he's getting sassy with Photoshop in there, which is endearing. So yeah, if you've got, and we're going to start adding pictures there through our Flickr corporate account deal. But if you've got pictures of an event that you went to, concrete5 or that kind of thing, if you go to Flickr and search for concrete5, I'm sure you will find the group that Matt is definitely struggling around and trying to find right now, because his email box looks like a complete mess. But
It's true.
One more try.
it's up there on Flickr where the groups are,
gotta be in there.
and
Chasing the clock.
that's the kind of thing you like.
Just a few more seconds, guys. I can find
He's
this.
got it. I know it's going to be in the
Welcome back.
private message box.
Yeah.
It is. It totally is. I should
That
have
was
gone
a
there in
lot
the
like
first
our
place.
site, Yeah. And Wow. There's Matt's account, his inbox, yeah, private messages. There's Wagdy. Here we go.
It's gonna be the
Getting warmer. Nope.
Nope.
Wah, wah, wah. I just go to Flickr and search for concrete5 and
How
see
could
what you
it not?
find.
It doesn't.
How hard can it possibly be?
The Flickr may.
Please log in. Here's how to get started.
Oh god. Flickr's kind of
Yeah.
There's a picture.
Well, hey, I just put a bunch of car pics up there from the last year. Waggy's got some cool stuff from meetups and other great things that people have done with concrete5 and
Nice.
sharing information.
Surely if you put concrete5 in there, I mean, come on. Maybe some type of result
Hey.
would come back and there would be...
Look at that.
Are you in it?
It's from a meetup.
You found it.
And here's a group.
There's
That's
the group.
Wagdy.
There you go.
Okay.
There it is!
Hooray!
Yeah!
The concrete5 group pool.
Right.
A lot of hands.
A lot of hands and some pretty amusing pictures.
What the? There was some other.
There's some intense Photoshop happening there.
Yeah, he's got some Photoshop free
Is there a
time
lady
actually.
like a wrestling girl holding up the? That's amazing. I like that. We've got a pretty big ad
We
presence.
started spending more money than we have in the past, you
You
know.
know how it is.
So we do. There's one that like Keith Richards in the corner. And I just it's such a nightmare.
There we go.
Can I scroll? I'm okay to scroll down on this?
I don't know. What's up?
Okay. That's G-rated,
That
right?
was when we sponsored a boxing bout. You know.
Sure. Yeah. Bare knuckle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bare knuckle. Concrete5. Drupal boxing. There's a Christmassy one. These are good. These are good for your seasonal cards if you need them. What's going on there? Rolling with the tags with like the really fine gradient. Whoa.
Ooh.
Hey-oh.
Kaleidoscope.
Getting a little late at night there. Oh my.
I put this up above my
Angelina.
bed.
Is this straight? Yeah, it's straight enough. All right. Yeah, I don't see how this could possibly go wrong.
These are awesome. Scorsese. He's a big concrete5 guy.
Wow. Okay.
That's
Well,
awesome.
thank you. If anyone else wants to contribute some stuff, possibly even.
It is Photoshop Friday.
It's a
so
Photoshop Friday. Well, there you go.
there you go.
Enjoy that. God, we really got to start thinking about April Fools.
Oh man.
Alrighty. Well, then, that's Karma today. I know we sent out a bunch of stickers last week. We did one of those email newsletter type things that we occasionally do, and those always emerge in a lot of people filling out our sticker form. And I think this time we only had, what was it, like 3 people put emails in instead of mailing addresses. So that's not bad out of the, I don't know, 50, 60 some
Yeah.
stickers we sent out.
People are learning, clearly.
Generally kind of acceptable threshold of sanity. Anyway, if you would like stickers sent in the mail, none of them quite as large as the stickers that Waggy is throwing up on the side of buildings like that, but concrete5 stickers, all you gotta do is go to our swag page in the marketplace drop down, and there's a form at the bottom. You can put your mailing address in there and we will mail you stickers. So that is the Karma stuff. What shall we do? Should we do PRB or shall we do fun in the forum? It's your choice.
Let's do PRB.
Let's do the
get that
PRB.
going.
Let's open the
And
PRB.
now it's time for the peer review bar.
Featuring new themes and add-ons.
Cool.
Sweet.
This week in the PRB, we approved 4 themes and an add-on, and we're going to start with the themes first.
Okay.
The first one that we approved this week is called Fluid 960. This is by Growth Curve. It is a concrete5 theme built off of the Fluid 960 grid system. So if you're not familiar with this, this is a way of on the web, they basically determined that for the common browser size of 1024 pixels, 960 pixels wide was a good size for a website, and with certain grids, with certain templates, you can chop 960 pixels up into a bunch of different columns of pleasing variety. And so the fluid version of the 960 grid system is one that basically sort of collapses down to 960, but can also get larger. This is good for more responsive layouts. And Growth Curve has built a theme based on that system. So here it is.
Okay.
Yeah, a bunch of different templates. exciting styles.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Cool.
It's very customizable, as you might imagine.
Well, that's good,
There's
yeah.
a screenshot that is kind of showing that in action, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, there we go. So there's a fair amount of customization taking place in there, and you can make it look however you.
There you go.
And but I'm not totally clear on exactly how much of this is meant to be, started from, or if it's a finished product, because a lot of these systems are kind of meant to be, they're kind of meant to be starting points for, their frameworks for building your own theme. So get that and get going. Next theme is by Brian Lewis, one of the ones that he presumably won the Karma Prize for. This is called Denim. First thing to say, these are both nice themes. There are two themes from Brian Lewis this week. Brian, you should probably, if you're watching this, put screenshots of your themes up there, because if you don't have them when you're browsing your theme from off-site in Concrete5, it's just kind of a weird experience to have a theme with no screenshots. So your demos are really awesome, so that's cool. But just thought I would
Screenshots
mention
important.
that.
Yeah.
Screenshots important. That said, these are cool themes. And if you reload that page, Matt, you can kind of see there's a little animated effect to the logo across the top, which is kind of cool. There's more animated effects in the other theme that we'll get to in a second. Cool typography in this theme. Kind of a neat little drop-down navigation system. Works with the built-in blog. We can see the tag cloud working, the date nav working. Cool typography. Neat little Twitter, Facebook links down there. Nice job.
Nice.
I like that font. That's cool. Next theme is by... I've totally spaced who it's by. Oh, it's by Hostco. This is Superhero. And this is a pretty cool theme. I think it's sort of showing it off with a sort of a car motif, which a lot of our themes kind of do. But this is a cool sort of company product-based theme. As with most of Hostco's themes lately, they're responsive. Looks like it's built off of a modified version of Bootstrap, but pretty highly modified, which is cool. That looks nice.
Very crisp and professional.
Yeah, I like definitely has the Bootstrap navigation, which is nice. I like the fact that it's got sort of customized the orange treatment to the Bootstrap. Sometimes the built-in blues, they look nice, but it's nice to have a little bit of color, some sassiness.
Yeah. Sassy.
Yeah.
Ooh, Title 3. Buy
yeah,
that plan. That's the preferred plan.
There you
It's
go.
Title 3,
That's a hosting company right
Wow,
there. Yeah. So nice job, Hostco.
There you go.
Next theme is by Brian Lewis also. This is called Autumn. And I like this one a lot. It also needs screenshots, but this theme has really nice typography. I don't know if it's included or not, but the logo treatment's cool, the typography's cool, the photography is cool. If you click through on the pages, you can kind of see it has an animated effect as the page comes in, which is pretty nice. You know what that reminds me of? Do you remember there were proprietary extensions to Internet Explorer that you could do page in transitions
And exit
and exit
which is so annoying.
Yeah, I know.
Back in like 97.
Yep, it was a long time ago. So yeah, this is cool. I really like the homepage treatment, the 3-column treatment. The typography is cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice job, Brian. And finally, we have one add-on to talk about this week. This is called A to Z Page List. We have built sites that use this exact functionality. If you have a lot of terms to define or something along those lines, this would be very useful to you. It basically takes a list of pages and breaks them up alphabetically and grays out ones where the terms aren't there, shows them all in one page load, and really makes it a lot easier to find your way around.
Sweet.
And that is the PRB.
PRB. Great. Well, thank you for the submissions. Things can be turned around pretty quickly in there, so you have a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
We're working on those functional improvements. We got them all detailed and comped out. So in the coming weeks, we'll be updating the PRB with new and exciting functionality that automates much of the process around checking at least half of the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll make it a lot faster
So,
to get in and get out.
good things happening in there. I will take this opportunity to remind you that we are going to do How Would We Do That in a little bit. So if you've got questions that you want to ask us, you should start asking them now in the chat room. That way we'll be able to scroll back up and answer them in a timely fashion. But before we do that, let's jump over and see if there's any interesting forum posts that we can help clear up or weigh in on. See if there's
Introducing Fun in the Forum!
All right. New intro for the Fun in the Forum segment. Pretty awesome. Let's see. I've got a few here. Don't you have this stuff up, Matt? You want to do just in the order we got them from Julia? Let's see.
Maybe if I could get that email forwarded to me from someone. That'd be cool.
Well then, let me just send that along to you. Yeah, give it to me. Here we go.
Fun in the
There you go.
forums.
If your DreamHost site's infected. What are we looking at here? A long post and some replies. Looks like it works like a charm. So it looks like someone had one of these annoying PHP virus things that get attached to stuff. Right, yeah. So we were looking at the, you got it up. So every so often someone will come along and be like, my site's hacked! And, it has yet to be concrete5's fault. It is invariably an FTP client that stores passwords, and then you end up with some malware on your PC, and malware is smart enough to know about the FTP clients that store passwords, and it hitches a ride along that and gets onto your web server and basically looks for any PHP file it can, attaches some junk to it. So
Yeah, and also it occurs to me that the fact that this is a DreamHost thread, they actually had a fair amount of. There was a DreamHost issue maybe a month or two ago where their one-click installer was not any app in the installer, but the actual homegrown installer tool itself was compromised. So I believe it was theorized that people used that vulnerability to inject this code into many DreamHost sites. It's possible that this particular deal is about DreamHost specifically, but we see this kind of thing in a number of posts based on people getting their keyloggers installed in their system and stuff like that.
So it looks like Zaritas started it and also figured out a grep command to recursively go through and clean out the eval statements that this thing had added and resolved it. Someone else found the thread and found it helpful as well. So that's cool. I'm going to mark this discussion as helpful because people found it helpful. That's a good thing.
That's a great user icon, Hobo CS there too. He's that tramp clown.
Sweet. Okay, next thread. How to download Greek yogurt theme after upgrade. Yeah. Okay, here's Julia coming along answering it. From this query in the database, if it handles it, come back into your dashboard theme. So, what are we looking at here, Andy?
There is a bug in the upgrade where if you're upgrading from a version of Concrete5 prior to 5.5.0 or 5.5.1, you won't get Greek yogurt as a theme in your site. Not for any reason other than it was an oversight. So if you want that theme, this is a way that you can...
So insert statement that'll make it aware that that theme does fact exist.
Exactly. Otherwise, you can just take the themes directory, the Greek yogurt theme from within the concrete/themes directory and stick it in your themes directory and install it that way. And then it'll show up as waiting to install.
Nice. Yeah, and it looks like Wacky started it, figured out a solution, and Julia, and he reposted, and now that thread is answered. Even has an officially answered green section. So that is awesome. The next one from Growth Curve. I'm looking for freelance jobs in Chit Chat. Well, I'll reply to that right now. Hey, there's a job board. You should monitor that. Yeah, let's not fill up the chit chat with self-promotional messages, but if you go to concrete5 blah 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 community jobs, there is a jobs forum. There are hundreds of posts in there. You can monitor those. Everyone gets access. It doesn't cost anything to post. You know, it is a free-for-all, so you know, if you're posting a job, make sure that you think about that. But there it is. Enjoy it. Plenty of posts, plenty of people who need help. Only going to be more as we continue, so that's cool. Let's see. Edit username and forums. Okay, I created a site for Australian University discussion forums. They've imported about 1,000 users. Successful input, student numbers or username. They would like the students to be able to edit their username, do something more appropriate. Discussion forum uses the standard concrete5 security map, which means only the site administrator can edit the username.
You may not even be aware about the profile.
Yeah.
User profile stuff.
Yeah, is there a setting somewhere in 5411 where I can assign rights to register users to edit their own username? Someone else posted a similar question recently. I can't believe no one has answered. Well, maybe, I don't know.
I think he says profiles. Do we not let you edit the usernames in the profile? It's been a while since I looked at the built-in profile stuff.
No, so C5 guys tell us how they do it. In the C5 site, the username edit is on a different page called Preferences. Do I need preferences to accomplish this? Why can't I just add the username field to the edit page and tell it the way to email logins, people sharing the email address? Well, that's a good question.
I think we determined that we didn't necessarily want to deal with making it so that users could edit their profile name from their account, but there's really no reason why we shouldn't allow that.
Yeah, if we don't do that, there's really no reason that we shouldn't. Let's see. I'm going to set up an instant setup to see if that is in fact what we did. Alright, go into here.
Yeah, I think it is what we do.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I mean, we can always address that in a subsequent version, but there might be, if you're willing to do some coding, there might be some ways to work around that. How do we do it on our site? Like, we're not using the
No, we have
stuff, are we?
No, we are. It's a forked version, but we do have a separate page that lets you set up your that lets you change your profile or your username. So it's in the profile section, but it's a separate. It is a separate single page with a separate option.
So you can build your own single page to deal with it. Kind of painful, but doable. Sign up and go. People picture the data. So yeah, now if I go, slash my?
Just go to return to the website. And then go to the footer. And click on your name.
Aha. Edit. Oh, you're right. Email. No username.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that should be an option in the profile section, whether to include that or not, because I could see there are certain times when it would be bad for them to be able to change it. If you're using like Facebook to log in or something along those lines, you may not want someone to be aware that you have a username in their site. But, that's certainly an option that should be available in the profile.
We will put that on our list of things to deal with in the next version, because, yeah, I agree, there's no reason to keep people from not doing that. Let me just post that to this forum post. Address that in the next version. Until then, I'm afraid you'll have to make a single page to let people edit this stuff by hand. There you go. And I think we have one last one. On the fun with forums. Let's see. Building with concrete5. Put all templates, block templates, single pages in one directory. is there a simple way to have your single pages, login, profile, cart, checkout, and the block templates in one directory? This would simplify your installation of the base theme a lot. Replacing templates and directories in the theme folder or using things like that. But a lot of single pages use more sophisticated layouts, which means you only work in the single pages directory. Yada yada yada. Someone says, hey, have you considered using a package for that? And says, yeah, any tips for how to doing that? And then there's some explanations. It's actually from the same guy that was helpful in an earlier thread.
Yeah, it's a very helpful response.
Pretty detailed response there. Totally worked. Gave it a go. Marked as the official answer.
Nice.
Don't have to do anything. Sweet.
Well done.
Thank you, Zaratos.
Zardos.
That
Sounds
reminds
like
me of
Zardos.
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 Yeah.
That
Sweet.
user could use a badge or two.
Yeah, I'll give a badge right now. Let's badge Zaratos up. Manage badges. Zaratos, you're doing good work. I'm going to give you a gold star.
Nice.
I'll give you a silver star too, because it's just like that. Thanks, Zaratos. Thank you.
Look at that.
Like that.
Boom.
All right,
Boom,
that is
badges.
the fun with the forums. Badge. Where are we? We did PRB. We did Karma.
We did.
We did fun with forums. We are down to how would do that.
Yeah.
How would we do that?
Can't hear us. We're gonna do some quick Q&A, and then we're gonna show off advanced permissions. So that's good. Are there any queues for which we can produce A's?
Let's check out the social stream.
All right. No.
I like to keep away from that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any obvious questions here. Maybe I missed something. I'm going to scroll back up a little bit here.
Look for question marks.
I'm not seeing any yet.
Oh, well. Okay, well, then let's switch it up. We're going to show
Switching it
off
up.
the new advanced permission stuff, and if you do have any questions, you stick them in the stream of sociality.
They might have questions after this.
They'll have some
demo.
questions after
Yeah.
this demo. Okay. Radio. So we have been doing some work on advanced permissions. We've often talked about how that stuff is perfectly stable and functioned fine. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's
we
been
had
there
advanced
for
permissions
a long
since
time. Yeah.
yeah, 2003. But the UI was not awesome, and some of the roles kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, what does admin really let you do?
Yeah.
It's kind of a catch-all.
They've gotten weirder over time as we've added functionality.
Yeah, and there was just also some things that were challenging around the kind of inclusive, exclusive way we dealt with permissions. So if you've ever wanted to do something like have a login block on a page that doesn't show up if you've logged in, that's actually pretty difficult to do. It's easy to make a block and say only people in such and such group can see this, but it's always inclusive. So if they're in any of the groups that they could see it, they'll see it. So there's no way to mark a block as
Guests can see it, but registered users cannot.
There's no
Guests
cannot.
mean everyone. Basically.
Yeah. So that was a challenge, and we had the opportunity to address it the right way up as someone came along and wanted some more timed release controls over things in Concrete 5, a little more finite timed release settings. And so if you are a fan of the latest bleeding edge beta version in Git, you can go get this stuff on your own.
Yeah, it's in a separate branch because it's fairly stable at this point, but the upgrading, there's no upgrade from 5.5.1 currently, and we're still tightening up some of the performance of it. You probably won't notice, but you might on a big site.
Yeah, certainly worth playing with, but probably not ready for a live environment
But
yet.
definitely playing with and not going to change it.
Yeah.
So
But let's bring up a browser and we'll go make Andy Drive and show off how this stuff works a little bit.
Cool.
ooh,
All right.
all right.
Okay. So do you want to drive and I'll talk?
Sure.
All right.
You just tell me what to show.
All right. Well, my name's Franz Baruch. I'm going to talk while Andy drives.
I'm glad to be out of those lights.
So let's see. This Concrete 5 install. Andy's going to sign in with the sign in parts. Yeah. There you go. Nothing changed there. Oh, dude, they're coming for us. We got to go.
These permissions are too advanced.
If you go ahead and put the page in edit mode, we will look at the wildly different UI of the permissions right away. So, if you've ever played with advanced permissions before, you'll remember them being a grid that ran in the other direction. So even in 5.5.2, there are kind of these, can see versions, can delete stuff. They kind of go across the x-axis on the top, and then you can add users down the side. We flip that around. So now all the permissions available to you are going down on the y-axis, and well, you'll see more why. One cool feature for the developers out there: these are now programmatically built, so it is much easier to add additional permissions for things that we're not expecting in the future. Right?
Yep. Yeah, and apply them to pages, files, users, and then apply them to. They're much more like attributes now than they used to be.
Right. So if we wanted to say change the view permissions on this page, we would simply click that, and now we can add different permission rows. So guests can see this page, but if you wanted to perhaps remove that, add some other group or user.
Let's just say registered users.
Sure. So you can still, there you are. So now only registered users can see this page, just the same type stuff as there was before. Annoying scroll bar. The other thing you may notice right here is there's a little clock on this row. So if you click the clock, you can actually do timed release settings on any permission value. So maybe it's viewing the page, maybe it is only a certain window to edit the page. You can tie these permission settings down based on time. And as Andy does some settings here, you'll see. There's a little box that pops up that says repeat. These time settings now have your kind of standard calendary repeating options. So you can say, I want this page to show up every Friday from now for whenever, but no other day, and that kind of thing. So that is pretty cool. And of course, with advanced permissions, this stuff still trickles down to block areas and specific blocks. So if you want to start doing things like, I think we don't need to show them that; they can believe us. If you want to start doing things like, well, this is the featured sidebar for Fridays, and that's the featured sidebar for Thursdays. You can all imagine how you might do that now. There we go. So same basic idea. It can be the area, it can be the contents, etc., etc. The next thing that's cool is if you go into one of those permission settings, we can stack things up. So in the past, it was always a single group. Can admins edit this page? A good example would be if you had a large site and you were trying to open parts of it up to affiliates, for example.
Yeah, maybe I'll add a couple groups.
You've got imagine that you had sections for your site for different cities or something. So you've got people who are authors, and you'd like to be able to keep track of them as just, well, these are all of the authors for my site. But then you also have people from Portland, and you want to let the Portland people edit their Portland pages, but not everything else. Well, in the past, you'd basically have to make an admin group for each whatever, not person, but role. So you'd have Portland admins and Cleveland admins, and et cetera, et cetera.
It's just a pain.
That got really messy really fast. So now you don't need to do that. You can stack up groups into what amounts to AND statements. So you want to say, look, only authors from Portland can edit this page. Well, that would be both, right? There you go. So
in this setting, the edit page contents permission is accessible by all people in the administrators group, just as it is normally, and from anyone who happens to be in both the author and the Portland group.
So you have to be in both. You can't be in just one and get through there. So you're never really able to do that in the past, and now you can, which is super cool. In the same vein,
I'm gonna add a user and show off some exclusions.
Yeah, you can do some user stuff. You can still do specific user stuff. That was one thing that we've always kind of had from the get-go that was super nice is you don't have to make groups if you don't want to. If you just want to say, look, I want Matt to be able to edit this page, you can do that. In this case, test user. So you can still do that here. So, and he's going to say, look, I want that test user, and he is also in that list. However, there's a third thing we've added, or I don't know, 50th thing that we've added. Maybe I don't want to let test user edit this
he's
page.
in the administrators group, but he's kind of a punk.
He's a wreck. And I'm not going to get him out of the administrators groups. I need him in other things, but I just want to exclude him from this for some reason. So there's this excluded thing, and you can add the same type of permission sets to that as you can from included. Those could be timed, all that goodness.
So you could even say, I want the administrators group to be able to edit this page, except I don't want test user to edit it on the weekend.
Or every day from 4 to 4:20.
Because I want
users locked out.
Yep, I want to go home. I don't want them making any changes after 3.
Makes sloppy edits at 4:20, so he's locked out. And the excluded ones are always run after the inclusions. So I guess that's the one kind of trick to know about this is when we're trying to make a decision of if someone can do something. It's you add up all the inclusions. Are they okay? Okay, then you apply all the exclusions. And are they not okay? And that is just kind of a choice we made in the interests of sanity because we didn't want this to become a Boolean expression builder. So boom, boom, right? That's it.
Yeah.
So
one thing that is kind of cool as well. Let me clear out some of these guys, just for sanity's sake. But then I will show off one other thing that we added that was pretty cool. We'll add guest back here. So a cool example of what Franz was talking about in terms of such and such can't see this. Let's say this right-hand sidebar stuff was create an account here. This is specifically text that is geared toward users who are not logged in. Well, as in the past, we would have had to do some sort of hacky stuff to make this not show up for registered users. And you could certainly do it, but you had to edit the template. At this point, you can just set permissions on the block. Currently, guests can view this block, and that means everyone can view this block. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up special permissions just for this block so they're not inheriting from the page or the area. And I'm going to say, I don't want registered users to see this. Whoops. I don't want registered users to see this.
Nice.
And so now I've got registered users excluded from here. And, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, can I really trust this?
Does that work?
I can
I don't
see
believe it.
I still see the create account here. And especially if you're running with the super admin, you can always see everything. And so it's a little disconcerting to trust that. So we added this new functionality here that's driven off of the ability to, I forget exactly what it is. It's driven off the ability to edit page contents and be able to access the user search, because you can preview any page as either a guest or a user at a particular time. So right now I'm previewing this page guest. I'm previewing it as a guest, and it says create an account here. But if I preview this as test user, let's try this. I do not see this anymore.
Super cool. And you can change the time settings if you've got all sorts of complicated things.
Timed release.
Right,
Does this show up on the
overlapping
weekend? That
releases
kind of
on
stuff.
weekends and weeks and stuff. You can just pick a point in time. What's this going to look like Saturday morning to the world, and be able to see it, which is awesome.
And it's just makes it a lot more. Feels a lot safer. There's a lot less uncertainty around things.
Sure, no need to have faith.
Yeah.
Don't bother with that.
There's a couple other cool things that I think may be news to you.
Oh boy.
Which is always kind of fun.
Yeah.
I have approved Jordan Lev's pull request to allow for reordering of block types.
Oh, sweet.
So I pulled this in there and made a few changes to it so that it defaults to the same order that we currently have normally. But let's say you never use the date navigation block, because nobody does, but you don't really want to delete it for whatever reason. You can reorder all your blocks to show up in a certain different way.
That'll impact that ad block interface, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool. That's handy.
And speaking of the ad block interface, you can set permissions at the. I don't want to do it at the global area. You can set permissions on blocks. There's a add blocks to area permissions that shows who can add blocks. You can say which types of blocks they can add, the same way you could before, but it's much less of a visual train wreck than it used to be. Mm-hmm. You can control exclusions on block types as well. And then there's also a global block types permission down here so you can, if you want to control, and this is actually, people have wanted this for sites not in advanced permissions mode, so this is actually available to everyone. People have wanted the ability to to lock down block types for different groups at a global level without messing around with areas. And this way you can do that. So you could say, authors, they can add block types, but they can only add the content block and the form block, the file block, and the image block.
So you never have to bother with that block area. It's just managed centrally.
Yep.
These guys can only add images or whatever.
Exactly. And that will just filter into to the areas unless they've been overridden at the page level. And then it just filters down the same way you'd think it would.
Great stuff.
And that all the various permissions in the site, like what is it? File manager permissions, task permissions, all that stuff, that all works in the same way. So everything in the site really can have the same level of recursive or recurring permissions, and they all make a lot more sense.
Weird exclusions. I don't know why you'd ever do that, but people will always find ways to use things that we didn't expect.
Yep. So, and it is definitely ready for bug testing. It's in the 5.5.2/DEVL or DEVEL development branch, and have at it if you'd like to.
Yeah, please beat it up.
You have to. Right now, simple permissions don't work on it. So turn on advanced permissions. You can actually do that through the dashboard at this point.
Oh, yeah.
My advanced permissions are turned on, but you can turn them on using an interface in the dashboard at this point. And yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so we're still finding some bugs, and we're in the upgrade script, and we may, add some helpful copy here and there, that kind of thing. But
yeah,
generally,
they're pretty dialed in.
Time to play with that. So enjoy. Okay, now, did that create any questions?
Created anarchy in the chat room.
Time to go back to work. What
Let's
do we got?
see.
Oh, I see question marks.
I see a heart. Okay, John the Fish asks, do the same new permissions apply to dashboard pages and file manager?
Yes, they do.
Everything.
There are different permissions in the file manager, but the same way. The permissions are set using the same UI with the same capabilities.
I think this was answered. Mr. Lindau asks, can you set permissions on blocks like this user can't add autonav?
Yep.
Yes.
All
At
right.
a global level, at an area level, at a user level, there's a dizzying array.
Anywhere that you can imagine it.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Going through the list here.
Some hearts, I like that.
Yeah, there's some excitement in there.
That sounds good.
Locking down sites
Exclamation
gets
mark
people
or two,
excited.
right?
All right. Okay, so Perry Govier asks sort of a how would we do that question.
We'll do that.
He wants to create something like base camp, a ticketing system.
Isn't Basecamp like free?
Actually, they're not free anymore.
No,
I don't
that's
know
right.
when they made that change or if they were ever free. I thought they were.
Yeah, I don't know. You can do that. I'd probably start with the discussion system as a starting point. That's what we use for our bug tracker on concrete5. Well, not that add-on, but we basically took a copy of our forums and started hacking away at it.
Yeah, we use custom attributes to handle things like status and that type of stuff.
Yeah, definitely buildable. Probably one of those things you might want to consider the value of building from scratch. There's a lot of different folks trying to build project management, ticketing. That is I think next to CMS, probably the most oversolved problem on the web. So you might want to consider how you want to use your time. But that being said, use the forums, add custom attributes, and knock yourself out.
I think what he's looking for is something that integrates with Basecamp.
Oh, that's probably brighter. But, and what capacity, I guess?
What their API
like
looks
a
like
single
these
sign-on, or like pull data out of? I don't know. But assuming that they are willing to share data through some type of standardized API, I imagine that they would. I bet you that you're probably building single pages that go out and pull stuff back. And
there might be
maybe
a block, blocks. This is unrelated to that, but there's a WordPress add-on in our marketplace that shows lists of posts and things like that just by adding different blocks to your site. I think that's not a bad way of doing it. You just get a half a dozen Basecamp blocks in your site that you add to pages, and it pulls from one centralized API key in your dashboard that you populate with however they set up external access. And I think that would work pretty well. But you could, they have mobile apps and things like that, so I believe that they have a pretty strong API for external access.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to integrate ticketing in some capacity, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of details on that. But
well, I would imagine, if it's a little bit of information that you want to put on the side of a page somewhere, and you may not know exactly if that somewhere may change based on the site that you're building or whatever,
being reused.
or more than one spot, then it's a block. If it's, I just want to be able to create a ticket and see open tickets, and I'm going to always want to do that from its own page in the site.
Yeah,
and
there's
that's
probably
a
an
simple
HTML
page.
code that you could.
Or you just stick some HTML, HTML block, and
Yeah,
go there.
they could do that.
Those are that's the kind of the way we would think about block versus single page. Is
Yeah.
it going to get reused, and is it a destination? What else you got, Matt?
I believe Chad Strat wants to know about Bootstrap 2 and when that's going to happen.
Looks real cool.
It does look really cool. They didn't, as these things go, the coolness is proportional to how easy it is to upgrade. And when I took a quick glance at it, it looked like there's going to be some not insignificant amount of tweaking that's going to be required. I would love to get a pull request for that. It seems like something that some enterprising young person would be really into actually getting working and having that, being the one to get that in there because he would totally be able to do that because it is not an insignificant amount of work to get this new Bootstrap in there without we can't go through another 5.5.0 interface transition. So the styles have to be reasonably backward compatible. But that said, we'd love to get that in there. It'd be awesome if we could get that in there for 5.5.2. We're probably not going to devote a significant amount of resources on our end anytime soon.
Yeah, we haven't really had the conversation much around the office. I know Robert's been looking at it and kind of making lists of why we should care.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I like it, but it's definitely not a drop-in replacement.
Yeah.
Even if it were Bootstrap and the syntax was totally unchanged, it's not a drop-in replacement. But this is significantly different.
Well, I guess the other part, and we haven't had this conversation at all, but I think maybe spending some time with our implementation of Bootstrap in concrete5 and kind of the corners and stuff with an eye to 2.0 and say, well, what else could we do?
Yeah.
And
What does this get us?
what does this get us, and how else can we kind of tighten up what we've done? Like that is well worth doing, something that we may find time to do, but not just not tomorrow. Yeah.
Perry asks, is the C5 office on the rough side of town?
Yes.
It is. We come from the streets.
Yeah. Hardcore.
I've got more of a how we do that kind of question. This
Sweet.
one from Scott C. He sent me a private message about this. I'll jump over to this. I don't know if you'll be able to read this or not, but he says, hey, that looks totally legible, right? All right, enough of that. Okay. So I have a question for Andrew on how to best practice sort of thing.
Oh.
If I want to attach blocks to an arbitrary record and stick to core concrete5 as much as possible, I determined that they needed to be attached to pages and thus collections.
Sure.
Should I create these as collections with their own page paths, or should I create areas for each record, which is what he's doing right now? He says, I understand this could create several hundred areas attached to one collection and thus page.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Is that a big deal?
It's funny. I remember having this conversation with Tony when we were first thinking up the scrapbook that became Stacks, and he and I both thought that collections and pages seemed like overkill for this. Let's just make an area on the scrapbook's page, and every time you make a scrapbook, it'll be a new area on the page with blocks in it, because you just need blocks in something. And that seemed like a totally reasonable thing to think.
Low overhead container.
But we found problems with that, and it does not scale as well. Pages work a lot better. You can't version blocks inside an area if all the blocks are on one page. So, you may not think that you care about that, but you might at some point.
Yeah.
So I would totally go the pages route. At once upon a time, we thought that that for a problem like this, you'd be able to use collections without using pages. So you'd be able to So you get all the version, all the loveliness of versioning and stuff like that by grouping blocks into collections without having, and only use pages if there is a visual component to them. But we kind of, that doesn't really work 100% in practice. So I would just build pages under a hidden node and go for it that way. Definitely. Or use stacks. Yeah,
Stacks are great.
Yeah, use stacks for that too. Build a stack for it. They fall outside the tree, so the permissions inherit sanely as opposed to living in the dashboard. And you don't have to worry about them showing up accidentally.
What's next?
A question from Adajad. He asks, how would one build a splash page for your site? And he wants to manage it from inside the dashboard for featured stuff.
Build a splash page?
Yeah,
Use
like
Flash, right?
I wouldn't do it in the dashboard. I would just have it be a page inside your home page, and then have some special logic that, if you don't have the splash cookie, it forwards you into /welcome, and then /welcome you click out of it and it takes you back.
Yeah, so you'd build a page somewhere in a private node off of the hidden somewhere.
Yeah, or even just in the website with no nav pointing to it, like
Yeah.
just at /welcome. That's how we did the Girls Rock campsite at one point back in the day.
Sure. And so you make the page exist somewhere in the tree that's hidden from the nav, and then just build into the templates some logic to go grab this page and display it first, or
Yeah, or you could investigate events. So anytime a page is rendered, you could check for the cookie. This is kind of how our internationalization add-on works. If you don't have the cookie for saying I've looked at the splash page, it's going to take you in to the welcome page, and then that page just links out to the home page. And since you've set the cookie at that point, you will never see it again. And plus, since it's a regular Concrete5 page, you can manage it through the CMS.
there you go. Or you could do it as like an overlay,
Yeah.
which might be a better way to deal with it.
Yeah,
in all honesty.
less Web
Getting in
1.0.
the way. But yeah, you could just pull the content from an area on that hidden page you made somewhere, and stick it in an overlay if you hadn't already.
Yeah.
And do that type of logic in the template or
Yeah.
through the event handler. That would be how we would start that.
All right, Dimers1 asks, what's the best way to change an international date format? Can it become a dashboard option in the future?
You can change them with constants, and there should be some how-tos in there about what the constants are for setting your site's date format. They should be dashboard configuration options. They just aren't because we haven't gotten around to it. They definitely should be. We'd like to take a look at how we handle dates again in the future. I know that was something that we were trying to get in there for 551. There's been some consternation about how to localize dates and translate them and stuff like that. And we'd like to look at that with fresh eyes at some point. But, if you look for, their constants all start with date_app_ stuff, and that lets you determine what those formats are. And you can define them in your site.php.
International date kerfuffle.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, got a question from Wagdi. After installing Greek yogurt, we had that thing we discussed earlier with the bug, I guess, and activating it, I lose the autonav and header content. Is it simply a case of moving all content to the main area before activating Greek yogurt and then moving it?
Yeah, I would delete the content from your site first, then activate Greek yogurt, then re-add it, because what's happening is those areas aren't the same type of areas in Greek yogurt as they are in whatever you're using right now. They're global areas, so they don't automatically move in. So they're gonna look blank. And but the good news is once you add them to those global areas, you only add them once, and they'll show up everywhere.
Plus the globally nature of the area. Right.
Okay, got a question from Green Bang. I think he's Fernando's in the forums. I'm not sure. He asks, will you add a package dependency system anytime soon?
No.
We might add a super lightweight one that is a way for packages to specify in a more normalized way what they require, so that you don't have to write code that detects whether the package is installed yourself. But in terms of automatically retrieving packages, like an actual Linux package deployment and dependencies. No.
Too complicated, too little bang for the buck, too many outlying weird edge cases that my mom's going to run into from the type of thing that will emerge when that happens. There's a forum thread about this, and
yeah, I think we talked about it last week a little bit.
yeah, we chimed in with what we were going to do in that thread at one point. I don't know if it's continuing to mature, but it really, I see a lot of ways that could go south fast, and it does not sound easy to build. So, yeah.
All right, got a question from Formwork5. Is it possible to hide a page from everyone in the dashboard sitemap, but still find the page in page search? And the context for this is a website with thousands of pages.
Not today, no,
not
because
usually.
the only way that you can hide something in the dashboard sitemap is by just turning off its read permission, and that turns it off everywhere.
That may change in the future, though.
Yeah, we have talked about revisiting some of those sitemap behaviors.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in these permissions updates, but they'll pave the way to make that one easy.
Yeah, I'm actually fairly confident that in the not too distant future, you will be able to lock things down so people can see the parts of the tree that they need to see in the sitemap and not others.
Yep.
All right. Question from Aghouse H. I'm probably butchering that name, but they ask, would it make sense to do a sort of area mapping dialog when activating a new theme? Maybe pull default.php for new areas?
Like, so if the new theme uses different areas, you can say, I want to move my sidebar into sidebar new, something like that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I can see that being kind of cool.
It'd be an interesting way to fix those problems of disappearing content and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, they are different areas. I mean, the global area is different. So
Yeah.
You'd have to like actually go through the database and change all the stuff that was labeled for header nav into global header nav.
Yeah, or like find the blocks and move them using the API.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do put significance, but not the word. We put some effort in the PRB into trying to make sure that themes are using consistent area names. So periodically there is a change to the core, like it was with 5.5, where we introduce global areas and Greek character uses them, and so there might be some passing the night. But generally, when you migrate from one theme to another, when they're designed to work with the same version of concrete5, things are labeled correctly and your data will show up where it should show up. So I don't think it's an overwhelming problem that we need to create a complicated solution for. And of course, I'm worried about what the experience would be like if I install a theme and I was like, map which area to which area. I'm like, what? I just wanted this to work. So I would say, if anything, we should probably tighten up our game on area names and the PRB and that kind of quality control versus a tool to manage out of control quality.
Yeah, I know. I have advised the few developers to change the names of their areas recently, and there's always going to be cases when you have a page with 7 areas or something like that, and you run out of default ones to use. But you should always try to use at least main, if not other ones too.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
That wraps up the questions I have so far.
Sweet. A good totally random today.
Yeah.
Got a lot done, and exciting to show off that advanced permission
Yeah,
stuff. I'm looking
totally.
forward to seeing
Very
what
excited.
people, if you find and enjoy and figure out with that, because that stuff is a long time coming. We've been talking about that for years.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
basically done. Very exciting. So thank you as always, and we should be back next week, and look forward to seeing you then.
Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time.